We have to help them find a community. What do you do when you go to prison? One of the key things about prison that we forget and that we don't address is the fact that it is one of the most important initiatory experiences of a young person's life. Anybody know what I mean by initiation? You all know what I'm talking about. I'm not talking about the kids beating up on you, that initiation. I'm talking about how do you learn to be from one stage of your life to another unless you go through an initiation. Initiation has the meaning of ignition, of starting out, of spark, of initiating something. And you know, the gang kids get it because they know you want to be in our gang, we're going to initiate you, you know, beat you up for whatever long it takes. And then you go through something. You hear what I'm saying? And you come out of it, you're thinking, I've been through something. Now I'm in the gang. I belong somewhere. Well, the gangs get it. And you know what they're doing? They're filling the void that exists in the community because the community doesn't get it. We need to initiate young people again and do it properly and do it in a healthy way and do it in a way where they really get seen. Of course, we're not going to get them around and beat them up, but we're going to get them to be seen for who they really are. And if they get in trouble and if they're hardcore kids, some of those hardcore kids are leaders. They can't lead in the world that they're in, so they're going to lead in this world. Let's get them in a world where they can really lead, really do some good, and be out there making something happen in this world instead of destroying the lives of themselves and others. In other words, hardcore kids also have gifts and passions and art, and we can help them get somewhere. So having initiation is important. But what happens when you come out of prison? Nobody's there for you. People start leaving you actually early on in prison. My son, for example, has already done 10 years of his time. And what he told me after 7 years he was in jail, he wrote me a letter. And in that letter he said, you know, Dad, I think I finally understand what you were trying to do for me. And he wanted to apologize for all the pain he had caused. But he also wanted to say, I get what you're saying. And it took me this long, but I get it. And that's really important for a parent to hear. But you know what? How many parents don't hear that? Because many parents and many family members aren't even there for the prisoners. You know what I'm talking about. He tells me, Dad, 2 or 3 years, these guys, they don't got nobody for them. The difference with me is that I got my family still there. Because when they get out of prison, who's going to be there for them? The system is going to be there for them, but you know the system is not family and it's not community. It's not going to help them. My son is going to come back. He can get paroled 4 more years from now. He has to do a minimum of 14 years of his 28 sentence. 14 years he will have to be institutionalized. He will be in bad shape coming out. But I'll tell you and I will guarantee you, when he gets out, he will have family and community to come home to. He will have that. And you know what? That's something every one of these young men and women need. Every one of them need that. What kind of world is it that we look at some troubled kid and we're all going to unite and say, okay, you're troubled, you're in bad shape, you need consequences, we're going to put you in prison. The judge is there, the defending lawyer, the state's attorney, the parents, everybody's there. But then when he gets out, where are all those people who sent him off? Where are all those people, the judges and all where are they? They don't care. They've written them off. If you're going to do something to people's lives, you better be there for all their lives. Because this is what we want to teach them, to be there for their own kids. But we're going to be a society that says we're going to punish you and cut you off. And then what do they learn? To cut off people. Because it's too painful to care. It's too painful to be involved. And you know what? We teach people that. We cut them off early and we teach them don't care because it's better not to care. How many times I've been to poetry workshops in prisons where people don't want to express themselves. Why? Because it shows weakness and vulnerability. If they express themselves and other people know about it, it could hurt them. This is the world that we created for them. That's not the world that they should be in. If we're going to give people consequences, one of the consequences should be that we should help them heal themselves. That's got to be one of the consequences. Heal yourself. Find your healing path. Find a practice that allows you to be full in yourself. So when you get out, you're a full human being and you can help somebody else. You've been through something that very few people get to go, even though it's more and more people every year. You come back and you help somebody. That experience is a meaningful experience. We say it's not. We're writing them off. No, it is meaningful. I don't like people being sent to prison for all these years. I don't like the fact that some of them shouldn't even be in prison. I don't like the fact that, they're just rotting away. But guess what? If they're going through that, help them come back and enhance and build and reimagine and recreate that community. Help them be an asset to the community, not somebody that comes back and takes from the community. This is how we got to see it, from the front end to the back end. Not just one end and push them out, and then we're not there for the end and we don't care about this part. Somebody else can deal with that. Some parole agent who's overworked. Somebody else who can't handle it because they got 20,000 caseloads, or some, therapist, or some treatment program. We want to put it somewhere else. Bring that young person back into the community with real community, and you will see a difference in that young person. I have seen it. This is what's important about what we do. Do the front end and do the back end and cover the whole ground. Cover the whole ground. We have so many exits and nothing at the other end of it. I'm going to tell you something that I guess has to do with literature, but it's very important, and I'm trying to get into language and literature. How many of you have actually read the Odyssey? Okay, you all know what the Odyssey is. It's Homer, right? Odysseus, the story of Odysseus. It's the foundation of Western literature. It actually has roots, they won't tell you this, in Africa. But it really is the foundation of Western literature. When you think about the Greeks and the storytelling, nobody knows if Homer actually existed. It doesn't even matter. That story was told for thousands of years, for almost 1,000 years without being written down. People were telling it orally. The story of Odysseus and the life after the Battle of Troy. And if you ever read that book, I will try to summarize it really quickly because it's very telling for us. The whole source, the whole basis of that story, and the story of probably a lot of stories in Western literature, I summarize as the battle to get home. That's what that is. This kid, Odysseus, was sent to war against Troy, spent 10 years in that war. And then on the way back home, he got lost and went through all these amazing adventures. His whole struggle to get back, another 10 years. 20 years he was gone. He was struggling hard to get back. He met Cyclops, he met sirens, he met all these terrible monsters. He had all kinds of adventures. And he couldn't get home, but that was his struggle. Do you see that story, how it resonates with all of us? It's all our stories. We're always trying to get home. But where is really home? You think it's just a place? It's finding the home you carry inside you. The homing instinct that we need to have inside ourselves. Because when you're out in the world, how do you center yourself? How do you find home and peace within yourself? If we don't help these young people, or any young people, whether in prisons or outside of prison, find home, we're not doing them any justice. And it's in our literature. Now here's the funny thing about Odysseus. He has a son. The first part of the story is not about Odysseus. It's about his son Telemachus. His son Telemachus didn't get raised by a father. You heard the story, right? We've been there. His father's gone. His mother is trying to hold off all these suitors from around the world that are trying to take over the kingdom, and they're slowly taking it over. They're coming in, they're living in the palace, they're eating all the food, and Telemachus doesn't have the strength to stand up to them. He has no father. You hear what I'm saying? He has no infrastructure, no guidance, no structure. A father helps do that. A mother does some other things. And of course, when a mother doesn't have a father around, the mother does both of them, as you know. But really the idea is that father helps with structure, mother helps with nurturing, embracing, and welcoming and acknowledgement. And a mother casts a beautiful spell on the kid, but a mother can also cast a terrible spell if a mother's also not hurt, it's also hurting. A father does two things, can bless you or curse you, right? And if you don't have a father, that's a curse. You carry that for the rest of your life. So Telemachus is weak, he doesn't know what to do, and guess who comes to guide him out of this? Mentor. Mentor comes along. That's where the word mentor comes from.